welcome to Special Stage and welcome to Donington Park for round 6 of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. For all those crews who've been doing rain dances all year and wishing for wet weather to level things out, it's here. And there are parts of this circuit that are notoriously tricky when they're wet. It doesn't look like it's going to be all escort weather today, but we'll see. We've got some championship campaigns to keep our eye on, and we are guaranteed some top action out here on the stages. So let's join the action right now. Round 6 is go. So Ian Woodhouse leads the crews away into the very wet stage here at Donington. Paul Swift second on the road, and our third escort, Martin Hodgson, once again chasing both of those two down. Onto the opening stages of the day then, and it will be a short-lived rally for Paul Swift, with Steve McNulty alongside once again. Their event sadly coming to an end in the gravel traps of the first stage of the day. So with one of the key protagonists gone from the battle so early on, it would be Alan Kirkcaldy and Cameron Fair leading the way from the early stages here at Donington. The lead was a significant 28 seconds as well.
Yeah, so far so good. In the first one, the heated screen didn't work, so I couldn't see a thing, but we still set the fastest time, so it can't be too bad.
These old cars are meant to steam up.
Well, they're not meant to steam up when you can't see where you're going. It's never good.
Steve Quigley and Peter Littlefield had been waiting for the rain all season, and they didn't disappoint. They were making the most of it now, ending this loop with second place, even catching cars in the stages.
No, we had a really very clean stage on the first one. That one was a bit scruffy, really. There's lots of standing water, so you're locking up, and it is very slippy out there. So I know there's a few people out already that have been caught out. You know, you just got to be careful.
After praying for rain all season, I'm not going to let you have any rally driver excuses today.
Well, we were second after the first stage, but I don't know where we are now. But cheers.
John Griffiths and Nigel Wetton, another pair wishing for the rain and doing rain dances at every round so far. They got their wish as well. Third place was theirs and will be the best start to an event so far this season in that Subaru. Another man who's been praying for rain this season. Here we go.
Yeah, it's quite good out there. Actually, good fun actually. Lots of sideways, but carrying speed. So that's what it's about. So
It is.
we don't know what that time was like, but it felt good. So we'll see.
For Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland, the plan was simple. Stay on the track and see what others did around them. They would, of course, know the fate for Swift and would have an eye on making sure they finish for some championship points.
Don't know, really, just stay on the track. That's the main thing to do, stay on the track, let everyone else go out, and hopefully we'll plod on to win.
Early problems for Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones in the opening stage would lose them a little time. The screen misting up with the amount of water getting into the car. They claw some time back though on stage 2, lying in 5th place on the leaderboard now. You're keeping it on the straight and narrow?
We're keeping it on the straight and narrow. We can't see anything, it's all steamed up here.
It's quite steamed up. Are you happy though?
Apart from not being able to see where I'm going, I'm fine.
Probably less scary that way.
I can't see what I'm going to wait.
It was new car time for James Ford and Elliot Edmondson, and the wheels were driving at the opposite end as well, swapping a DS3 for this Escort. They were struggling with their seeding, but this was a learning event in the car, so nobody could have predicted the pace. They lie in 6th place for now and 4th in their class. Well, you've switched from front to back in terms of transmission. How's it going in terms of times?
It's going all right. I don't know. We got held up twice, so we got held up on the first stage as well, so I think the seeding's a bit against us, but a few people have dropped out, so we'll see how we get on. It's going okay. Just trying to learn a bit at the moment. It's a bit sketchy, isn't it?
Cheers. A few late nights getting the car ready for Mike English and Andy Robinson would be just the incentive they needed to get a result. They have a good run to start the day as well, only clipping 1 tyre wall and lying in 7th place now. A few late nights to get the car ready.
Certainly was, yeah. We got it ready in time. It's performing great. I like the wet. We're going okay. It's good.
Bit of modifications to the front?
Yeah, just clipped a tyre barrier coming through one of the chicanes, but we're just pushing hard. Pushing hard.
Simon Belcher and Peter Butler were finding the stages very quick, but also very slippery. 4-wheel drive would have been helping, but there was a limit to how much grip there was given any type of machinery. Well, you've certainly got the right kind of transmission for today.
Correct, that's it. It's all about tyres today, and as Joey Dunlop would say, it's very quick and very slippy.
Graham Bell and Russ Radford bring 4-wheel drive out this weekend too. It had to be better than the Escort. They have a slightly slower start to the day than they would want, but speed things up again on stage 2. Wow, four-wheel drive you'll be pleased of today.
First stage was absolutely abysmal, but we're okay. Yeah, we're all right. We're still on the circuit anyway, unlike some people. All right.
And rounding out our top 10 were Mark Jasper and John Cope. The choice to bring the Escort instead of the four-wheel drive Proton was probably one they would regret, judging by the weather. All these times in the past that you've had four-wheel drive and you come out today, it's raining in two.
It's the Mark Jasper look. Literally, every time we're in a four-wheel drive car, pray for rain. You come out in a two-wheel drive car, every rally I've done, I think, apart from one, it's been like this. So, still smiling, what the hell? Yeah, good, good, thank you. Unfortunately, it's an early retirement for Nigel Mummery and Fiona Scarrett. They only get as far as the first stage of the day before retiring with no gear selector or brakes. In some of the classes outside the top 10, it will be 13th overall and 4th place in Class 5 for Pete Smith and Graham Wild, trying their hand behind the wheel of a Fiesta this time out. Tom Wolster and Jamie Vaughan felt that they would have been quicker around the supermarket with a trolley than they were on the opening stage. 300 brake horsepower through the front wheels, and this much water wasn't doing them any good. They do lie third in the class at this stage though, and are entertaining at least. Stuart Cogger and Aid Summers would be just behind Wolster in the class. Loving the stages here at Donington, the best they've done this season so far, even if Stuart was finding it very hard work behind the wheel. There's a man who looks like he's been working hard.
It's hard work out there, but what a good stage. This is one really, really good venue. Can't wait to come back.
Former World Rally Championship venue, no less.
Mate, it's got everything here. It's a real, real good circuit. Real good.
For John Richardson and Eric Wilcoxon, it will be 5th place in the class. There were only a few seconds between those fighting for the class podium. Richardson sure that he'd seen some ducks on the opening stage, but other than that, no problems. Julian Wilkes and Will Rutherford returned to the stages once again, loving the format of the championship, even if it was different to their time in the forests. They lie in the lead of Class 1 in that Nova after the second stage of the day.
Yeah, really enjoying it. It's nice to be doing a roundy event, actually. Suits the car. It's still not as quick as some of the cars here, but I tell you what, in the wet it's a bit of a leveller. Just getting the tyres right, but really enjoying it, getting some proper broad slide, four-wheel slides in 4th gear, so it's good.
That's funny because Will told me you were keeping it as straight as possible, looking at those times.
Yeah, well, we've got to try, haven't you? You've got to push on a bit. It's good fun.
It would be a good start as well for Paul Sheard and Sean Hughes, leading the way in Class 2, and they needed the result this weekend if their championship stood any chance. Back on it for the championship now.
Yeah, I need a good result today to make up for the Snetterton technical issue. But yeah, good run then in the second one. A very steady start, really, but it's hard to find your way around the car park. Probably wants to triple the cones, really, but the circuit stuff's fantastic.
It was a new car for John Marshall and Scott Crawford this weekend, with John confessing that he didn't have a clue what he was doing, but something must have been going well, lying 5th in Class 5 at this stage. For Paul Rees and Paul Briggs, meanwhile, it will be 2nd place in Class 2. The pair had almost 30 seconds to catch the class lead, but they did have an advantage in that 2nd position themselves. And that advantage would be over these men, Mark and John Burton. They were playing it safe now, the championship on their mind. Hopefully no more rearranging the bails this season for the Fiesta pairing. Eyes on the championship.
Yeah, at the moment we took it a bit too easy this morning, but for us that's all we need to do at the moment. Yeah. Might seem boring, and it might seem boring for TV later on, but we're thinking of the end game at the moment, and you know, but at the same time, loving it, and I love this place as well. It's a great venue, absolutely, really enjoying it.
Jonathan Hudson and A.D. Collins would have much the same story as everyone else. Slippery, wet and tricky were their themes of the day. They end this loop though with 2nd in the class, 35th on the leaderboard. They would have a 14-second lead over Sam Johnson and Joe Morgan. 3rd place in the class for them, not helped with a big spin on the opening stage. A lower power front-wheel drive car could just be what you need on a day like today.
Well, first stage, massive spin, but we just couldn't quite catch it. That one was much better. We played with the tyre pressures and cuts and different things, so that was much better. But, yeah, I'm happy with that.
For Alan Jackson and Andrew Egger, it will be 4th in the class, 13 seconds back from Johnson in the results after 2 stages. And it will be 4th place in Class 2 for Andy Peckover and Kevin Blackford, just less than a minute back from the podium in the class at this stage. Charles Johnston and Kieran Hogburn, meanwhile, will be in turn a further 13 seconds back on the leaderboard. 5th place in the class, 53rd overall in the Peugeot. And for Trevor and Mark Jones, it will be 5th place in Class 1. The pair just over half a minute off the previous crew in the class. So we've had 2 stages here at Donington, and it is still an Escort topping the timesheets. But dominance is far from the story. Front-wheel drive and four-wheel drive also getting in on the battle this weekend. One rally that always stirs the memories when you talk about it is the RAC, and cars like the RS200 that you see behind me competed here at Donington on the RAC rally. Not that exact car, but cars just like it. We'll catch up with some faces on the entry this weekend who do have memories themselves of competing here at Donington Park when it was part of the World Rally Championship. Now, I've done my research, and I know that you came 77th on this stage in an Escort Cosworth back in '95 when it was used on the RAC. Great memories.
I tried a long time ago. We had very heavy snow in Yorkshire, I remember. Then we did a very slippy one in Scunthorpe Steelworks, and then went this to the last stage of the rally, that's right.
How incredible to come to a racetrack and it have such rally heritage.
Yeah, first time I've been back here since then, so really looking forward to it, yes.
And of course, an iconic car that you bring down here as well. There aren't many of these things competing anymore.
No, we intend to bring the Subaru down, which is the ex-Richard Burns one, but we sheared some wheel studs on testing, setting the brakes up, so we had to bring this beast out.
So was this must have been quite a slippery stage on the RAC. Was it just a case of getting through the racetrack stages?
Yeah, I think we ended up 22nd that year, so we didn't want to risk at the last end, you know, so we couldn't, nothing to gain, so we had to stay to run through here to keep our position. Yeah.
And you're in an Escort Cosworth as well, which in those days, I remember watching those Escort Cosworths, and that's my dream car as a result of seeing them in action on the RAC in the mid-90s. Must have been quite an experience.
It was very good. One thing I do remember is we knocked the bumper off at the end of a stray ball in the snow at the end of the Yorkshire stages, and worried about scrutiny, trying to borrow one for a cab before we got through scrutiny at the end of the rally.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. That's great memories. Enjoy today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I've managed to find a man in the service area who has quite a few memories of the Works guys. When Baz Cannon used to run the Ford team from Boreham, didn't you? You were part of that team.
Well, I was part of the team that ran from GSE, which was a satellite team from Boreham. And yeah, we did. We worked with Boreham hand in hand, and yeah, we have run quite a lot of people on the RAC over the years.
And of course this track featured as a stage back in 93, 95. Yeah. Great place to have a rally stage in the World Rally Championship.
Yeah, I can remember coming here with Mark Lovell in the Whaletail, and I think at that time, I think there was snow here, and it was a real grim day, and it was, I think actually Blomqvist was beating us all in the Skoda, of which it should never have happened because we were supposed to win. The Sierra was supposed to win the rally, so, you know, but it didn't happen. So.
No, there were some big giant killing performances back then. This must have been quite nice for a team running a car. You had somewhere nice to service.
Well, it's different. Yeah. It's, you know,
in those days you were sort of trying to pick wherever you could, weren't you, to service the cars?
Yeah, well in them days you service side of the road, side of the forest. You just pulled up and did your work and then moved on to the next service point. But some of the organisers on this championship keep telling me that we haven't got enough service space. It's going to be very tight. Until they've serviced in a forest in Dalby, with the rally cars coming out at 100 mile an hour, and you're laid under your rally car, and the cars are coming past you, now that's tight. This is not tight.
It seems Donington Park is still a good place to go rallying then.
Yeah, it's still a good place. It's a good championship, good place to rally, and this does help rallying. You know, people can get up close and have a look at it. It's a nice service area. You've got food, you've got toilet facilities. So, you know, rallying's moved on a little bit more than, you know, everybody up to the neck in mud and cold and snow and everything.
On to the next couple of stages then, and it would be no change at the top, with Alan Kirkcaldy and Cameron Fair continuing to lead the way. The advantage now up to a minute. Alan, you're way off in the distance after those 4. You must be happy with that progress.
Oh, delighted so far. We had a wee problem in the first stage with the screen, but since then, everything's been going perfectly. So,
I mean, I know you should be quite happy about water being where you're from. It rains quite a lot, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I love the escort and the rain, so we just have to get on with it and keep going.
Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland were playing the long game, deciding that there wasn't much chance of them catching the leaders. The points were the most important thing, so they will be continuing at their own pace, happy to keep hold of that second position for now. Ian, 4 stages in, it's looking good for the championship, of course, but much chance of catching Kirkcaldy up ahead?
He's faster than him. I don't think I've got any chance of catching him, but we're just going for the championship points, you see, so we don't really have to worry about, well, winning, obviously, but yeah, obviously with Swift being out, it's looking good for us to get some points back on him.
It's just about getting to the end now.
Yeah, stay to the end. There's them gravel traps, stay out of them, and we should be all right, shouldn't we?
Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones, unlike Woodhouse, were happy to push. Only 2 seconds stood between them and Woodhouse, so it was still all to play for. Still in the chasing position.
Yeah, we are. We're going faster now. We're up to 3rd overall now. 2 seconds behind 2nd overall. We keep going.
And still, despite the weather, it's battle of the escorts out there.
Oh yes, yeah. They're quick, aren't they? Quicker than these 4-wheel drive cars.
With the slightly drying conditions out there on the stages at Donington now, it meant that Steve Quigley and Peter Littlefield would slow down a little. 4th place was still a good position to be in for now, though. Steve inevitably dropping back now that the conditions are starting to change.
Yeah, we need more rain, really, to be honest. We had a good first couple of stages, but we had fuel surge on the first couple of stages as well, so we have had to bring the tank up so we don't get any problems. It's all right. But a little bit conservative, but as you say, it's drying out a little bit, which is not going to suit us. But
you've got both mirrors.
Yes, so that means I'm not trying hard enough.
And it will be a similar story for John Griffiths and Nigel Wetton. The drying conditions meaning a move down the leaderboard a little, but it wasn't stopping them trying. 5th place overall and still leading the way in the class. As the rain disappears, possibly so does some of the advantage of having 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think it's forecasted all day on and off. So hopefully we'll still keep them with a shout. It is a big advantage for us. We're just lacking on so much horsepower, so we've got to make it up in the corners.
Sadly, after a tough morning, we lose James Ford and Elliot Edmondson in this loop. They retire from the top 10 with mechanical problems in that new car. Graham Bell and Russ Radford would be going well, climbing the leaderboard, but still unable to match the pace of the escorts up ahead, which was proving a little frustrating, to say the least. He should know, being able to pedal an escort quickly himself. Halfway through, happy?
Very happy, yeah. We had a bad first stage, picked it back on stage 2 and 3, but then the escorts are taking time out of us again. And I just don't know how they do it. I really don't. But fair play to them. They're going really well.
Things were still going well for Simon Belcher and Peter Butler, meanwhile. 3rd place in Class 5 at this stage, 7th overall, 17 seconds back from Bell up ahead. Mark Jasper and John Cope were getting a little faster as the day went on. They end stage 4 with 8th place and will be just 2 seconds back from Belcher up ahead. Stephen and Jack Tilburn start to improve their times in the morning stages too, stepping up to take 9th place now, 5th in the class. And rounding out the top 10 now were Tom Walster and Jamie Vaughan. The stages drying up meant that they could start catching people rather than being caught out there on the stages themselves. Tom is still pushing hard.
Yeah, it's getting better. I mean, it's slightly drier. There's cars off in all sorts of ridiculous places, but rather than being caught, we're now catching people. So it's a nice feeling to have. It's just totally different in the wet. But yeah, things are going well and just making slight improvements all the time.
In the classes outside the top 10, it will be 4th in Class 5 for Pete Smith and Graham Wild. The debut in that Fiesta still going well. Stuart Cogger and Ade Summers were still enjoying the stages, and things were still going well as far as the times were concerned as well. They lie in 12th place now, 3rd in the class, and smiles all round in the escort. Paul Sheard and Sean Hughes were continuing to lead the way in Class 2. The problems around them were helping with a much-needed result this weekend. 14th overall for the pair at this stage. No problems for Julian Wilkes and Will Rutherford. They lead the way in Class 1 still, and with a good advantage as well. The pair also lying in 15th place on the leaderboard. No problems to report for John Richardson and Eric Wilcoxon. They lie a further 2 seconds back from Wilkes on the overall results, as well as lying 4th in their own class. And Richardson's advantage in that place would be 5 seconds over this man, Robin Adams, with Ray Keith alongside, lying 5th in Class 3 at this stage in the event. We've got change in Class 5 now, as Paul Woodhams and Joshua Sad take up 5th place in the class. They'd suffered with a spin in Stage 1, and it is so worth looking back to Stage 1 for this Ken Block moment, which we can't decide if was by accident or on purpose. Can you? Things were still going well, meanwhile, for Jonathan Hudson and A.D. Collins. 2nd place in Class 1 was theirs at this stage, and they looked to be opening out a good advantage in that position as well. Mark and John Burton gained some time in this loop of stages and move up to 2nd in their class. It was where they needed to be, and no need to chase for the victory. All they had to do was keep it exactly this way. For Paul Rees and Paul Briggs, it would now be 3rd in the class behind Burton. There would be 18 seconds separating them now, so it was all to play for through the afternoon stages. Alan Jackson and Andrew Egger put in some good times on the stages before lunch to put the MG 3rd in Class 1 going into the afternoon. A good position to be in for the second half of the day. Charles Johnston and Kieran Hogburn, meanwhile, end this morning with 4th place in Class 2. The gap would be around 1.5 minutes to the podium places. And it will be around 30 seconds further back to 5th place in the class. Andy Peckover and Kevin Blackford in that position, the pair lying in 49th place on the leaderboard too. For Trevor and Mark Jones, it will be 4th place in Class 1 at this stage. The Rover Metro pair with a small advantage in that place now, and pleasing the spectators with a bit more variety, which of course we know this championship is so good at. So as we reach the midway point in the rally, there's still some movement in the top of the results, and in fact throughout the field. But that number 1 spot remains the same. Well, one man with some personal memories of the RAC, even if it wasn't as a competitor here at Donington Park, Patrick Walsh.
Yeah, RAC or Roger Albert or the old RAC Network Q and Donington seem to have a bit of a history, and unusual for myself. This is only the second time I've ever been here and first time competing, but the first time was early 90s, 93, 94, something like that, actually watching the RAC as it was, or Network Q as it was, watching McRae go through in the Subaru. Like, so it's weird to come back after so many years to where this stuff's happening and thinking, oh yeah, oh, it's only a couple of years ago, and oh no, it actually is quite a long time ago. So
yeah, quite often find yourself following in the footsteps of people like Colin McRae out on the stages, but never really at a racetrack.
Yeah, you kind of see where they've been, their in car, you kind of go the same stages. But yeah, race circus is not kind of that kind of thing anymore. Like even the World Championship events, you don't really see them doing much in circuits. But then maybe, yeah, it's harking back to that old day, and it's good because obviously the championship itself around the race circuit seems to be very, very popular. Entries fill in pretty quick, so there is a need, be it at a clubman level or perhaps at a professional championship level.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
We're 4 stages in here at Donington Park, and it looks good for Ian Woodhouse as far as the championship is concerned. But at the moment, Kirkcaldy doesn't look like being beaten here on the wet tarmac in that Escort. He is flying out front, but there are battles right through the field. Of course, lots of strategy coming into play now as we head towards the final 2 rounds of this championship. On to the next loop of stages, and it will be all change at the top as we lose Alan Kirkcaldy and Cameron Fair. water in the ECU, putting an end to their hopes of a victory, and after such a commanding performance. So that would now mean the lead for Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland. They wouldn't know it until after the stage, but their chance of the victory just got a whole lot closer. With Kirkcaldy stopped on the stage, that makes your event look even more.
To be honest, mate, I didn't even know he was stopped on the stage. I seen a red Escort, I didn't think it was him, but get in.
Yeah, well, you just got to get it to the end now.
Yeah, steady away, keep it on the black stuff and job's good.
Of course, Woodhouse wouldn't have it all his own way. Things were still close with Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones chasing the pair down. 5 seconds was the difference at the end of stage 6 between the Escorts, still all to play for. Looking good for you today?
Yes, we think we're up to second now. We just need to catch him, and we're trying.
So we can see some fighting this afternoon?
Oh yes, we're going to see some fighting.
He thinks he's got it easy?
No.
Things were still going well too for Steve Quigley and Peter Littlefield, so not to count them out of the battle. Leading the way in Class 3 and staying on the road, most importantly. There had been issues, but nothing that wasn't easily sorted, and both mirrors still intact. This afternoon could actually be quite interesting for you.
It could be. It's a lot better now. We found out some issues. Last stage we had some mega sideways. I'm thinking, what's going on? Really poor stage. Because we're running full tanks because of the fuel surge problem, we're getting spill from the overfill on the rear tyre. So it'll explain a few things loads better that time.
Excellent. No problems for Graham Bell and Russ Radford either. They lead the way in Class 5 now, moving up to 4th place overall. Things improving as the day went on, with four-wheel drive now coming into its own for the pair. Still moving the right way?
Yeah, going the right way. We're going up the field, but unfortunately Alan's out, so disappointed for him because he was really on it there, really on it, so I'm disappointed for Alan.
That change for Bell means a move down to 2nd in the class for John Griffiths and Nigel Wetton. A misfire would need looking at in service, but apart from that, things still going well with 5th place overall. Could be in for a wet final 2 stages.
Yeah, hopefully. We've got a bit of a misfire, but I don't know. I think it's traction control, but I doubt it. But we'll see how it goes. We'll monitor it. We'll see how it goes.
That's perhaps wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Mark Jasper and John Cope were getting quicker as the day went on, getting used to the car and the stages here at Donington a little more every time they went out. They lie in 6th place for now, ticking those stages off as they go. I'd say you're certainly in the fight this afternoon.
I don't think we're quite that fast, but we're going well and enjoying it, and we're getting faster, and I'm learning. Even at this age, I'm learning. Yeah, so it's all good so far. Yeah, enjoying it. I think if we did the rally tomorrow, I'd probably be straight on the pace, but you know, that's my excuse out of the way. I've taken over from John Indry. I can do the excuses.
For Simon Belcher and Peter Butler, it will be 7th overall, 3rd in Class 5. The pair didn't have it easy though, coming into service after 6 stages with some damage to the car. And Stephen and Jack Tilburn felt the pace was still good. They were happy with how things were going as they end the loop with 8th place overall and 4th in the class. Back on full wets.
Yeah, really nice. Still on full wets, yeah. Brave man that goes to PAs now, isn't it? Or intermediates. But not me, I don't think.
No. 2 more stages left. You're still fighting?
Yeah, we're there or thereabouts. Yeah, so top 10 and be good for us.
It had been a day of playing with the settings on that Suzuki for Tom Worcester and Jamie Ford, and it seemed to be paying off. They were happy with the pace, and now watching others around them fall off the stage. 9th place overall for now. You're still hanging on for dear life?
We're working with the settings a lot, so it is getting more drivable. So just having a good day and watching other people retire, so we're going up the leaderboard.
And rounding out the top 10 were Pete Smith and Graham Wild. Again, another crew happier with a change of tyres in this loop and getting to grips with the car now. You seem visibly to be getting more at home with the car.
Yeah, when it dries out a bit better. These tyres seem to be better when it's a bit drier, but yeah. I haven't got to bend it, have I? Because my son won't let me forget it.
No, you've kept off the grass, keeping those green light sponsors looking nice and clean.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett had been having a great season so far. They start to gain some time here in the afternoon, getting themselves up the leaderboard. 5th place in the class was theirs now, and they sit just outside the top 10 with 11th overall. And without wanting to tempt fate, Stuart Cogger and Aid Summers reported that everything was perfect. And it certainly seemed to be as well. 12th place overall for the pair and 3rd in Class 3. A bit of a moment in stage 5 would give Paul Sheard and Sean Hughes something to think about. But it would all be okay. Just a wake-up call as the pair end this loop with 13th overall, leading the way in Class 2. You battle weary?
No, it's good, really good. I mean, we had a moment in stage 5, coming into Coppice the wrong way. Sean said, it tightens, and I got my circuit head on. I know where I'm going, and it caught me out. So very lucky we didn't stall it. We landed down by the chicane, and we've just had a really good run in that one. So yeah, all good.
And we'd see a change in Class 5 again. Peter Stevenson and Patrick Walsh taking up that position. Here in the MG this weekend, after a problem prevented them using the Impreza WRC. There were more smiles all round for John Richardson and Eric Wilcoxon. 4th place in Class C for the pair and lying in 15th overall. And we continue with the battle in that class. 5th place for Robin Adams and Ray Keith. Just a single second behind Richardson with 2 stages left to go. And it had been a smooth run so far for Julian Wilkes and Will Rutherford, continuing to lead the way in Class 1, and happy that the car was keeping up with much more expensive, powerful and advanced machinery on the stages. You're nailing your colours to the mast out there.
Absolutely, we almost nailed the colours to Fiesta R5 mast. Fantastic. I let him by because I thought I didn't want to hold him up, but actually up the crane of curves we were quicker than him, so I'm quite pleased with that little 1400 Nova. Not often you get to see that, you know, from a driver's point of view.
The result was looking good for Jonathan Hudson and A.D. Collins. 2nd place in Class 1 for the pair at this stage with just the final loop left to go. And Mark and John Burton were still doing what they needed to do, lying 2nd place in Class 2 at this stage and happy with how things were going. They take some good points away if they could keep that position to the finish of the rally. Paul Rees and Paul Briggs would still be within range of Burton in the class fight, but that gap was now 25 seconds. Not impossible to catch, but certainly wouldn't be easy with just 2 stages left. Alan Jackson and Andrew Egger had settled themselves into 3rd place in Class 1. The times either side indicating the result was unlikely to change in either direction, barring retirement, of course. And Charles Johnston and Kieran Hogburn stay out of trouble to end this loop with 43rd place overall, as well as 4th place in the class. In turn, they'd be 29 seconds ahead of Andy Peckover and Kevin Blackford. 5th place in the class behind Johnston and 2 places back in 45th overall. Trevor and Mark Jones reached the end of stage 6 with 4th place in Class 1, still battling on in that Metro, 51st place on the leaderboard. And there's no change for Martin Rumble and Richard Lum. They lie 5th place in the class and 54th overall in the MG. So with improving conditions and just 2 stages to go, it looks likely we'd see a bit more rain, which could change things at the top of this exciting battle here at round 6 of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. Here you are, fueling cars up, but in the past, Donington Park has been good to you in other respects, not only, or not least because you were running Richard Burns here.
Yeah, and other people as well, and sort of the memories then of Donington perhaps are not so good because working on the management side, we were able to service cars anywhere, and travelling around here from service point to service point, the memories of all the traffic, because it used to be so popular with spectators, which is great because it was a good stage as well. It was always a struggle with all the traffic to get anywhere on time.
These stages were great for the spectators, as you say, and that's why they were here. The drivers saw it as a bit of a fun day, didn't they? The day with the stately homes and the racetracks.
Well, it was always a Sunday on the Rally GB, and it was sort of known as like sort of Mickey Mouse Day. But as the Sunday stages went, this was probably one of the more popular ones because it was a bit more of a challenge. And of course, then it wasn't just the racetrack. There were some very good gravel roads around here that they used as well. So it was mixed surface. And it was one of the longer ones of the day as well. So it was one of the popular ones.
Aside from your Rally Art days, you of course competed here as well on the RAC, didn't you?
Yeah, in sort of Mini and sort of Vauxhall Nova as well. And so the one memory there is going as a competitive section going through the tunnel. to the middle. It was fantastic because when you look at it, you look up as a co-driver, the speed going through there as well, but also the gravel roads as well. There were some good gravel roads here as well.
Donington Park has been a big part of your story, and of course you're now a big part of the story here in the Motorsport News Circuit Championship. Vital Equipment have got their name above the door, of course, as one of the sponsors of the championship, and you bring your hospitality suite along. So the story's changed for you, but here we are back at Donington Park, back at what is really probably the most iconic racetrack as far as rallying goes.
Well, Donington Park as a racetrack has always been one of my favourite ones. I think the first time I ever came here was to see a touring car meeting, and I've been here for Superbikes as well, MotoGP, and it's good to be part of it. Now with the Motorsport News Championship as well, doing the fuel and as one of the sponsors.
Thank you, Alistair. Some fantastic stories from some of the faces and names in the paddock here at Donington Park, just giving you a flavour of the heritage that exists at this racetrack, and you can almost feel it hanging in the air. On to the final stages of the day then, and a look at how the results were decided. The final miles of the day saw Alan Kitson and Ron Aspinall step up to take 5th place in Class 1. There's no change for Trevor and Mark Jones though, as they remain 4th place in the class, 49th overall. The Class 2 battle wouldn't see much change, with Andy Peckover and Kevin Blackford remaining 5th in the class to the finish of the rally. For Charles Johnston and Kieran Hogburn, it will be 4th in the class, just 22 seconds ahead of Peckover by the finish. Alan Jackson and Andrew Egger bring home that MG in 3rd place in Class 1 by the finish. And Paul Rees and Paul Briggs have a good run to end the rally with 3rd place in the class, unable to get back any time, but a good result for the pair nonetheless in difficult conditions. After a long day on the stages, it would be a good result for Mark and John Burton this weekend, doing exactly what they needed to do in taking 2nd place in the class, as well as 28th place overall. Their eyes on that championship battle. Jonathan Hudson and AD Collins have a good steady run all day with a good pace to match. They take 2nd place in Class 1 this weekend, 26th on the leaderboard. And there's change to 5th place in Class 3 through the final loop of the day. We see John Spires and Howard Pridmore stepping up to take that position, as well as 17th overall. Robin Adams and Ray Keith finished just ahead of them in the overall and class results. 8 seconds up in 16th overall and 4th place in the class. A good run this weekend sees Julian Wilkes and Will Rutherford taking the Class 1 victory. They end the event with 15th place overall as well. We know these guys are good at their giant killing performances, and hopefully they'll be tempted back out for a few more rounds in the future by this good run this weekend. No change to 5th place in Class 5. Peter Stevenson and Patrick Walsh managing to keep hold of that place to the finish of the event. And Paul Sheard and Sean Hughes get the result they've been waiting for after a couple of disappointing rounds, taking Class 2 victory this weekend and finishing not too far outside of the overall top 10 either, with 13th place. The weekend, all in all, would have been a good one for Stuart Cogger and Ade Summers. The pace was good, the result was good, but more importantly, the pair had smiled all day long. No problems to report. That is what this championship is all about. Ask any of the drivers up and down the service area. Big smiles and good battles throughout the entry. Another man having a good battle today, Mike Taylor, with Martin Haggard alongside, continues with his good time to take 11th place by the end of the rally. A time good enough to net them 5th place in Class 4 as well. And we see no change for Pete Smith and Graham Wild. They reached the finish after a good run in the Fiesta to take 10th place this weekend and 4th in Class 5. Simon Belcher and Peter Butler didn't let that damage stop them from getting a good finish, ending the rally with 9th place overall, 3rd in the class. It was a day of two halves for Tom Worcester and Jamie Vaughan, managing to tame the car enough to come away with a welcomed 8th place finish here at Donington. That result would be good enough for 2nd place in Class 3. Stephen and Jack Tilburn have a good steady run to mix with the times at the top, ending the rally with 7th, taking 4th in the class. And despite a great start to the event in that rain, John Griffiths and Nigel Wetton didn't quite manage to finish as high up as they'd wanted. But that wasn't due to a lack of trying right to the finish. They end the rally with a fantastic 6th place overall, 2nd in the class. Mark Jasper and John Cope go home with a 5th place finish this weekend, starting slow and gaining confidence and pace all day. If they could have been on the pace from the start, then anything could have been possible. Another crew wondering what might have been had the conditions been more favourable as the day started. Steve Quigley and Peter Littlefield finally get some luck on their side, ending the rally not only with the car in one piece, but with 4th place overall, taking the Class 3 win in the process. Let's not forget, it is performances like that that got them 2nd in the championship last season. And for Graham Bell and Russ Radford, it will be a last-minute step up to the podium places, taking 3rd place overall this weekend and the Class 5 victory too. Despite yet another heroic performance, there was nothing Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones could do about their position. 2nd place was theirs once again, just 10 seconds off victory this time out. But that does mean that it would be victory for Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland, a result which strengthens, of course, their championship campaign in a big way, going into the final 2 rounds of the season. So before we get a reaction from our winners, here's a reminder of the final overall results here at round 6 of the championship at Donington Park. Ian, Paul, what a day. It could have gone either way throughout that. It's been a really tough day for you, but in the end, the battle just wasn't there, was it?
Yeah, in the end it worked out well. It's done well for our championship points. Should be leading it now as far as I'm aware, or somewhere up there, but it's a cracking day, really. Brilliant.
Results-wise, brilliant, but I know you guys like a fight, and it would have been nice to have had Paul here to have that fight with you.
Yeah, and the Darien. I mean, clearly those 2 leaders, big contenders out in the first stage, left it a little bit wide open, but I think Ian keeping it all together got us there in the end.
You know, you were managing the situation, doing what you needed to do, and all of a sudden Martin came on strong, but you had an answer for that.
Well, you just keep going, isn't it? It's all you can do. He was on the pace today, like, give him that, but yeah, we got there in the end.
Martin, Tony, you didn't quite get your fight with Swifty again today, but you were certainly chasing this man down in first place, and he had to get on it, didn't he?
He had to get on it, and we had to try getting on it. He just last 2 stages a bit quicker than me, but we did all right. I was quite pleased with 2nd for today. You know, I didn't think we'd be that far up, to be fair. So no, I'm pleased with that.
We lost some of the contenders early on as well, which was a shame for the fight.
But it helped us. I don't think we'd have been 2nd if, you know, Mr. Swift's always been one we've been trying to catch, and Alan's
Alan, I mean, he was just flying. What lad, you know. I do feel sorry for Alan, but these things happen.
Well done, guys. 2nd place is a good result today.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Graham, Russ just got it at the end there.
We got it, yes, in the end, yeah. It's been a tough day, but I've got to give it to the Escort lads because they've drove out of their skin. Feel sorry for Alan, obviously in the lead most of the day, and he was going to win it by miles. Again, we made the day difficult for ourselves because we go and do stupid things on stage 1, and then we spend the rest of the day trying to get time back. But good result at the end of the day.
And a good little battle with Steve Quigley as well to overcome and get on the podium.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, took time out of Steve over the last 3 or 4 stages, so yeah, well done. Yeah, Graham drove very well. Really happy with it. Yeah.
And it's a good podium for Millington as well.
Good podium for Millington as well. Yeah. So we've got 2 Millingtons. Ooh, unfortunately, Smith and Jones. Ooh. But he's got to have some competition, hasn't he?
Engine rivalry.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well done, guys. Good result.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, we've been talking about RAC rally memories of Donington, and I know you've got your own, which probably led to you standing where you do now as championship coordinator.
Yeah. I came back here when it was part of the RAC, and fond memories of watching my rallying hero, Richard Burns, flying through the stages here. I was always a Richard Burns fan, and to see him at Donington was fantastic, especially when my dad stood at the side of me.
And it was the 6-year anniversary of your dad passing this weekend as well.
Yeah. So quite poignant to be here.
Yeah. And what a great battle we've seen today. The weather wasn't on our side, but it gives us good entertainment.
A fantastic battle, and to see them all out on Michelin's as the tyre of choice here today, this weekend, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, after what was quite simply a heroic performance from Alan Kirkcaldy, what is now becoming known by his team as the Curse of Donington has struck again. Some of our key championship story protagonists as well, suffering with chronic bad luck today. But for the championship, it does mean that Ian Woodhouse leads the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship going into the final 2 rounds of the season. For now, it's goodbye from Donington, but next up, it's Anglesey. And of course, we've got the small matter of Cadwell and the season finale coming up after that. We'll see you at the final 2 rounds. Thank you for watching Special Stage.